Afternoon, everyone out there in Facebook land, on LinkedIn. Great to see you guys again. This is actually, it's a lucky day for me. It's Monday, and this is the second interview I've gotten to do with one of my awesome co-authors. And we saw Nan this morning, and I'm very, very excited to have the opportunity to interview my dear friend Alexis Quiterio. And I'm going to tell a little story. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Alexis and how we met and how I stalked her like a bloodhound to come on board with this project because it was the perfect fit. So I met Alexis. Alexis is she's an author. First off, she's a coach. She is definitely a go-getter. She is also kind of a what would you say, a social media influencer, big inspiring person, does handstands all over everywhere. And there has the pictures and the receipts to prove it. But I met Alexis through my aunt who lives in Lynchburg, Virginia. And I met Alexis back in 2016 when she was actually on her very first job assignment out of college. And she was such a bright light. And it was round about the time that I was opening up my own coaching practice. And I was kind of this new baby coach with a business. And I remember we shared all these great ideas and we managed to stay in touch. And with the last spot that was open in the book, I thought of her and I was like, what a perfect addition to Leading with Light. So I called her up and I pitched her on the project. I said, you got to get in on this book. And she took me up on it right away. So Alexis, welcome to our interview.
Thank you. Thank you, Jess. And thank you for that incredible introduction. It's been amazing knowing you. And I'm extremely grateful for Susan for that introduction to linking up with you. And then for you just continuing to see me and to believe in me and invite me for this incredible opportunity. I'm so excited to dive in.
Well, speaking of incredible, I think personally you are incredible. I can't say enough about it. I think you're just a ray of sunshine, and the fact that you've committed part of your world to really showing up and living fully and inspiring others. And it, in your chapter too, it jumps out because I think I've shared this with you before, and I know you probably haven't had a chance to read everyone's chapter yet, but I saw, because I did help kind of in the editing process with your chapter, I saw very similar threads and veins that ran through both of ours, except I'm kind of the Gen Z version of some of this, and you're more like the millennial version, but it's all in the way that we communicate. And the thoughts and the ideas and the sentiments are very similar. And both of our chapters I found to be very, very inspiring. And I think yours is such a wonderful introduction to the kind of work that people can expect to accomplish if they hire you and have you as a coach and a mentor. I mean, such incredible stuff. And I think that was some of my feedback that I gave you in the editing process. I was like, we've got to leave them wanting more. Remember?
Yeah. Yes. And you helped me distill this whole thing because I had so much on my mind. And it's amazing how when you just first start writing, you're like, oh, I have X amount of space or X amount of words. And then I maxed that out. I doubled it actually the first time sitting down and writing this. And I realized how much I had on my heart. So you were very, very helpful in helping me kind of trim it down and abbreviate it for.
You did a beautiful job of editing the chapter, and it still captured all of the essence, but it does leave people wanting more. So Alexis's chapter is called Discover Your Power Within. And I'm not going to spoil it too much. I'm going to let her talk a little bit about what inspired you, Alexis, to choose that chapter topic. And what did you really want your readers to take away as they read your creation here?
Thank you. This is the moment I've been waiting for, Jess. You have no idea. It's this whole body of work that I've been building intentionally over the past, I would say 8 to 10 years. And Discover Your Power Within came from the sentiment of me growing up believing that we, collective we, can be, do, and have it all in this life. We really can. It's just a matter of being clear with your intentions, having healthy habits so your body, your mind can continue this journey of getting everything that you want, becoming everything that you're meant to be. And then also the sentiment of being strategic in all of the decisions you make. So throughout my 20s, I lived in 5 cities throughout the course of 8 years, and 4 of those were by myself. And during those times, I was very, very, very intentional about where I went, the people I surrounded myself by, the jobs I got, and the things I did to acquire my skill sets. And I also just trusted myself to lean into my curiosities. And a lot of that takes courage. And in that courage, in that unknown, that is when you really find what you're made of. And so that discover your power within is throughout all these different pillars of going for taking that leap of faith, for putting in the time and energy, and for being very intentional about all your daily healthy habits to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, and you offer such brilliant insight on that. And I just want to leave I want to share just this little snippet here because what follows this sentence is just a lot of really wonderful and well positioned and well structured suggestions, recommendations, advice that's just it's presented so beautifully and so simply. But Alexis wrote, I believed that I could be, do, and have it all. So that's what I set out to do. This is my story of how I went for it, and so can you. So it's not about I'm up here and you're down here struggling and can't do any of this stuff. It's like here, here, I did it, and you can, and here's how. And these are the simple tenets that helped me to become the person I am today and to do, be, and have everything that I've created, which is all that you've desired in your life. And I mean, I know you're constantly probably setting goals and looking toward the next thing, but even if you just lived your life embodying the pieces here, you would have a long, happy, and brilliant and very inspiring life. So
Thank you.
I
Hmm.
just want
Yeah,
to point that out. Yeah.
thank
What was your
you.
favorite part of the writing process? Talk to me about that.
Okay, before I dive into that, you brought up one of my favorite quotes that did just authentically pour out of me. And for all the readers, I want to let you guys know, I started just with a support system, which I'm very grateful for. That's probably more than many people have, and I understand that. But I wasn't given any handouts. I had to pay my way through college. I had to work for everything I had. I waitress throughout this time of discovering myself. But again, I was very intentional. So saying that you could be, do, and have it all, anyone can. Again, it's just a matter of desire, persistence, and intention. And so with that sentiment, my I went for it, so can you. That comes from the utmost bottom of my core because we can really do anything we put our mind to. And my story, a little bit of what I included in here is proof in the pudding. So just to get to your question, what was my favorite part of writing?
Yeah.
So in the past, I've written many blogs. I've been journaling consistently every single day for over 8 or 9 years now. And putting it all in a novel format was a little bit different. So I would say my favorite and also the most challenging part was my outline. It was distilling all of the information I have accumulated in all these different areas through journals, saved notes, books, like all of these things, all of these resources I've acquired, and then all of my daily habits and my daily routines, and getting all of that in one structure to see how I can effectively communicate that. That to me was the most powerful because I really saw this body of work that I have been embodying for the past several years, the past decade or more, and just putting that into something to share with people formally, that was really, really exciting for me. So, I think on top of that, the second most exciting thing, I wasn't able to include as much just because of the limitations of how much we can include. So stay tuned for another book by me, but was the books. Excuse me, was the stories. It was the stories in which I was able to communicate my message. I wasn't able to include too many in here, but coming up with fun analogies to bring people and drop people in to right where I was in that situation was really expansive for me, and it was a really fun way to be able to tie in you with me.
Awesome. No, absolutely. And I really think when you talk about an outline, granted, this is a 5,000 word chapter, but it's an outline for a much more fleshed out piece where you can write your own book and,
Mhm.
pull back in some of those examples and stories and, really, really flesh it out and make it into something broader that's still a guidebook, that's still an inspirator kind of creation and
Mhm.
creative projects. So I definitely see that in your future. And now Lil, a great publisher. You can get it all done with someone that like and trust, which I think is
100%.
fantastic. Because Lil was awesome during our whole process. She showed
Yeah.
up every Wednesday. We had writers meetings, and really, I mean, some of it was just kind of coming to the table and being like, yeah, I got nothing. No, or I haven't written
She
that
was
much
so
yet.
good.
How to get ahead
Yep.
of it, or I'm confused about this, and just processing, and then setting those mini deadlines where we all
Mhm.
had to get after it because we wanted to release the book in August, and you were actually the last person to come in, so you had the most pressure of anyone, and I felt badly about that, but you rose to the occasion and you got it done, and you got that chapter written and edited and really like with just laser focus. So kudos to you, Alexis, because you did an
Thank you.
amazing job, and you were definitely the one that had the time deadline, the tightest time deadline of any of us. Because I mean, I got in on this project in March. You came in, I think, in June. So
Wow.
it's
Okay.
a
Yeah. And I didn't start till July because I was fleshing out my outline. So yeah, basically, actually, I think I wrote this book, my section, in 2 days. I sat down for 2 days and I wrote outside of my outline. But I mean, to everyone listening to, if you're interested in writing a book, I highly encourage working with Lil. And also, obviously, Jess was a really big part of that support. But the way that Lil brought everyone together, the publisher, and how she just kept encouraging the community in the right direction without pressuring us. It was very healthy pressure, but we all felt very, well, at least for me, I felt very welcomed. I felt very on track. I felt very supported and I felt very guided. And it was a very seamless process. I mean, it takes a team to do this. This wasn't just me, that this was everyone involved. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
No, and I love that you just said that, because I think also, if someone's listening to this, I think in our minds, we make it out to be so much bigger and scarier than it actually is. It's like that phrase. It was there's an author that said this. Oh my God, I can't remember the name of who said it. It's not an original quote, but it's like, you can't edit a blank page. You
Yeah.
gotta write some stuff.
Yes.
So, and
Yes.
it doesn't, you don't just have to sit there and think about writing. You just have to start writing. And that's kind of when the floodgates open up. And I think what helped me as a writer is when I started writing sort of in my authentic voice. Like, I write the way I talk. And as I'm
Mhm.
writing, I'm entertaining not only my imaginary audience that's going to be reading the book, but myself.
Yes, you have to. I mean, you're writing for yourself 1, 2, 3, 5 years ago, 10 years ago even. So when readers are reading this, just like anyone reading a book, you wanna be caught up to speed, but you have to be met where you are. And so, yeah, you do write for yourself, but likely I had to write for my younger self. So it was a really fun, it's a good challenge to be able to think differently. You have to approach things differently because it's not, people are not where you are right now and they don't understand your whole story. So how can you understand the breadth of your life, your mission and your vision with everyone and get them right on page in 5,000 words? That in itself is a skill.
No doubt, no doubt. I want to give you another quick shout out, you guys. I kid you not. Um, Alexis's her Instagram is one of my absolute favorite accounts to follow. And if you want to follow someone that's going to like really inspire you to travel and have fun and live fully, you need to follow Alexis. Alexis, remind the listeners of your handle.
Thank you.
The
It is at Alexis Quiterio. So it's just my first and last name that you see on the screen. One word, no underscores, no periods, no dashes. But yeah, to your point, Jess, thank you. I've actually, ever since this book, it's inspired me to tell more stories through my social media because of course people use their social media however they feel called. And for me, it is a hybrid between self-expression and storytelling and also just leadership and education in general. And so the way that I've decided to do it up to this point, and it's a constant work in process. So by the time you see this, you might see some new stuff that I'm experimenting with. But again, that's a whole body of work in itself. But right now, through wellness, travel, and personal growth, it is to show people and inspire people to live their fullest life, whatever that looks like for them. So the wellness and the personal growth are really big pillars in my chapter. The travel was a little bit more for my social media page, but if you look at any of my highlights, you'll see a lot of the stories that come within those experiences, a lot of the perspectives, a lot of the takeaways, and that personally is where I wanted to attract people to my story or my experiences so then they can get whatever they want out of that experience based on what emotion it evoked. So it's a little bit of inspiration and empowerment, but also, leadership. I do want to guide, I do want to help, I do want to support. And for a lot of people, including myself, I need to see something so then I can create a vision for myself to believe it, because we don't exactly know what we can't see until we're exposed to it, if that makes sense.
So true. So yes,
Mhm.
run. Do not waste time getting on that page, because prepare yourself for some great inspiration. I kid you not. No, I
Thank
can't
you.
say enough good about it. I'm just so
Thank
happy to be
you.
connected to you, and you
Thank you.
inspire me. And I guess, when I was your age, and I don't mean I'm not sitting here trying to sound old, because I'm ageless Jess. Okay. But
Yeah.
but we didn't have that. We didn't have the ability to reach that many people.
Yeah.
We only had an influence on our inner circle, our family and friends, people we went to college with. We didn't have this sort of broad brush ability to be an inspirator and to show people the way and kind of take them along a journey with our stories and our triumphs and our failures too, and you have all of that, and the humility also, which is with some of the pieces in the chapter where you actually detail, feel like reading someone's journey of something that they were working on, and really sort of feeling that sort of stab of it was almost like jealousy or envy or something that came through for you, and you took that and you turned it into something amazing instead of sitting
Mhm.
there being a hater, which there are
Right.
people that do that. It's like,
Yeah.
what is one of my favorite quotes of all? It's that Stephen Pressfield: the critic hates most that which he would have done himself if he
Mm.
had the guts.
Amen.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing. When you're jealous or envious, you need to take that and be inspired, right? Be
Yes.
inspired and know that you are capable of these great things, and you wouldn't be feeling jealousy or envy if it wasn't something you desired for yourself. So go get
Yeah.
it, right? Being a
Yes.
hater is not going to get you anywhere, but being inspired by someone will. So I just wanted
Yes.
to make that very specific point.
Thank
And
you.
Alexis, if
Thank
you
you.
don't mind, I'm going to do a quick plug. I've been sharing with everyone. We are in the process of filling volume 2. It is a beautiful pink cover instead of a blue cover. So think about Leading with Light as the light leader, coach, entrepreneur. It's like chicken soup for the soul, only with light workers. So if that speaks to you and you have a message to share about your own coaching business, your platform, whatever your mission is, let's make it a movement by getting you involved in one of these books as well. And you can reach
Mhm.
out to me if you have interest in that. Let's have a conversation about it, because this was wonderful. And this is my second anthology book, but I there was something just way more magical about it than the first project I worked on. And I don't know if it was just the way the people came together, the way the book came together, the brilliance of the book and the themes and threads that run through it. It's an incredible piece. So I want to get it into people's hands. And I announced this for Nan today too, because I know you're getting a certain number of copies for your own
Mhm.
personal distribution. So if you're tight with Alexis, you might be lucky enough to get a signed copy that she will send to you.
100%.
Otherwise, you can always order our book on Amazon, and don't forget to leave a review. Is there anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with before we close, Alexis?
I would just like to add on to your plug. So, if you have a story, which everyone does, but if there's been something so pivotal in your life that you have overcome, that you feel called to share in a bigger way, even if writing a book has never been on your radar, just think of it as writing a long blog post and sharing that with the world. I would highly, highly encourage reach out to Jess, just share a little bit of your story and just see if it's a fit. If it's not a fit, awesome, but likely an opportunity is going to come out of it, whether this is the book for you to be a part of or something in the future. But everyone has an incredible story to tell that's going to serve other people. We are existing because of stories and experiences and foundations that others before us have built. And so we are doing the same for future generations. So anything that you could do to inspire someone in their day to day in a situation that they're going through by sharing your story, I really feel like you'll feel rewarded and also the world will thank you. So, Jess, what is that exact way to contact you? Is there an email? Do they
Oh,
comment below?
yeah.
What's the plug?
Yeah, I'll do the plug. My email's pretty simple. It's Jess at jessridelcoaching.com. Jess at jessridelcoaching.com. Very simple. You can also send me a DM on Instagram or a private message on Facebook. I'm very responsive to all of those. And or you can even you can text me, but that's if you have my number. I don't really know if I want to broadcast that to the whole world. But yeah, definitely shoot me a message if you are already like one of my friends or close acquaintances. You can always text, but feel free to email or use the medias, the socials to get in touch. And thank you for that plug, Alexis. And you're exactly right. If this isn't the exact right project, there will be something else because we're getting just groups of individuals to write. And I really love the way that you also, talked about the legacy of it because yes, I mean, we are leaving, this is going to be a piece of us that is eternal, right? And
Mm,
it will be available for people long after we've bounced from this particular lifetime. So
yeah.
thank you so much for joining me. You're such an excellent subject to interview. I'm
Thank
tickled
you.
that you came on today, and go keep sharing your goodness, your wisdom, your inspiration, and get this book into some hands. And I really appreciate you, Alexis. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Jess. This has been amazing. I'm excited to connect with you more offline, but just thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate you more than you know. And I will chat with you soon.
My absolute pleasure. All right, take care.